So today is National Nurses Day, and everybody's using today to thank nurses for everything that they do. And I can almost guarantee you in the last year that nurses have seen more shit than you can even imagine. And we have been asked to do things that we never thought that we could. And I know that probably the vast majority of nurses feel good about what they do, and they are proud of their contribution to helping patients, get healthier, because that's our goal. Is when something's wrong, we help you fix it, whether it's helping you get in touch with your doctor, or helping you decide if you should be seen or not, or answering questions about medications. We're your advocate. We're there for you from the beginning of our encounter to the end. And we do the best that we can, and we use our judgment and our education and our critical thinking skills to help you make the best choices to get to where you need to be. And we should feel good about that, We spend time in school and learn how to dedicate ourselves to that. So, I will also thank all the nurses out there, but I just want to say today I feel like it's my right as a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. To say that I do not feel good about what I do. And the reason for that is because I don't think what I do is safe. I don't think what I do is necessary. I don't think what I do is helping my patients get to a better healthy. I don't think what I do is contributing to my community's progress towards normal. I work in testing. I work directly in COVID testing. We do the nasopharyngeal swab, and I've been doing this since November. In November, we were doing 457 patients a day. That was our top that day. That was my first day in testing. And now we're down to about an average of 120 to 140 and a day. And I think that, it's definitely quieter on weekends. Mondays and Wednesdays are our busiest days. Back in November is when the recommendation was for everyone from 18 to 35 get tested, and our cases were off the wall. And I would be willing to bet that 90% of our patients were asymptomatic that were coming in to be tested at that time. And I'd bet close to that percentage of them never developed any symptoms. These were asymptomatic positives. Then we had holiday testing, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Then we had spring break testing. And now the majority of the patients that we're testing seem to be children. And it's because there's a recommendation that all kids should be tested almost as often as I've seen once a week. But every 2 weeks seems to be the recommendation that's out there. And daycares are requiring testing for kids when they have a cough, when they have a snotty nose. And this is not appropriate. This is not an appropriate practice. And I don't feel good about the fact that I'm participating in this practice. I feel terrible about it. Now, back in November when I started, we had a huge staff base, and we had plenty of people to do what needed to be done. We were running 3 rooms of swabbers. We had people calling patients in, checking patients in. We had people dropping orders. We had runners for supplies. We had staff. Out of all those staff that we have now, I am down to a core of 5. and it's soon to be 3 because 2 more are moving on. This was a temporary position. We were hired for it, not knowing when the end was going to be, and we were okay with that. That's fine. But now, and as on a team like that, the team would usually consist of 1 RN and the rest were MAs and LPNs. And now that we're down-staffed, I have stepped into the role of swabbing. And I can't tell you how terrible it makes me feel to see these kids who are scared of me the minute they walk in the door. Because we look scary. We're wearing gowns and we're wearing masks and we have glasses on and we're taller than them and we're whipping out this Q-tip that we're going to shove in their face. Now at this point, it is May 5th or 6th or whatever it is today. And these kids have been tested multiple times. They know what's coming. And I'm telling you, they do not sit still for it a vast majority of the time. And parents are coming in and they are frustrated and they are upset and they are stressed and they are worried and they need to go to work and their kids can't go to school and their kids can't go to daycare and they're having to hold their children down physically, like use your muscles, like wrapping their legs around their legs, wrapping their arms around their chest and holding their arms down and another hand on their head holding it against their chest so that these kids don't move, because this is an uncomfortable procedure. This test is introducing a foreign body into their airway, and depending on the clinician who's doing it, it can be deeper than it needs to be. It might not be deep enough. To be honest with you, we're just happy if we get it in there at this point because they don't like it. They're afraid of it. They're scared. And it's not necessary for you guys, for you parents, to be bringing them in for this testing because we're not changing their care plan. Their care plan is not changing. We are running these tests. The reason that healthcare runs tests is so that we can decide how we're going to treat a patient. We are running these tests and sending you guys home, and you are not doing anything different. You might be giving some Tylenol and ibuprofen for aches and pains and fevers. Well, I'll tell you what. Enough is enough. Stop bringing your kids into me to get tested. It's not worth it. We're not doing any good. Our case rates are going up because we are catching these kids who are faring very well with this disease. We do not have ICUs full of children who are on ventilators. We don't. We do not have parents who are calling their pediatricians and asking them if they should bring them in because they are unable to breathe at home, because their fevers are not responding to medications, because they are not drinking or eating, because they're not going to the bathroom. Those are symptoms that I, as a triage nurse, which I have also done for several years, would say, okay, at this point, the patient's symptoms are not responding to remedies at home. You need to bring them in and get them evaluated and see if we need to provide an intervention. That's what we do. We provide an intervention to support the body throughout its infection. We're not doing that. We're not doing that with these kids. They don't deserve to have to go through this. They don't. Okay? They don't deserve this. We're not doing them any good. We're not doing them any good. And I don't feel good about doing this to them. I had a dad in here a couple weeks ago, and I actually broke down in tears in the room with him, and I apologized. Like, I am so sorry that you're having to do this and that your kid is having to go through this. Like, I've done this thing where I use 2 swabs and I'll open one up and I let them touch it. I say, here, so this is how big it is. This is how far we need to get it in. It's just the fuzzy part. Touch it. It's not sharp. It's not hot. It's not going to cut you or burn you. I really just need to catch a booger. And I sit on my knees in front of them on the floor so that I'm not all big and scary, and I go slow. And I do the best that I can to get this God Almighty sample for this God Almighty result that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're not passing it on to people. They are not faring badly with it. There's no reason for you to be doing this, and you need to start pushing back. God, start pushing back. We are putting our kids through shit that they do not need to be put through. These are our children. It is our job to protect them. And as a nurse, I have to tell you that this is inappropriate. We are putting them at risk for increased infection because when they're squirming around and you shove that swab up there, you can bet we are damaging that mucous membrane. You have just damaged the barrier in the airway that stops a huge portion of infections. You want to know why they're full of anxiety and fear, and we have depression and all these things that are popping up in our kids. Hey man, you are running them through the ringer for no reason whatsoever. I do not agree with children being tested unless you are unable to manage their symptoms at home. And at that point, they should be evaluated by a provider, either in the emergency room or in urgent care or with your doctor. If they're not that bad and you don't need to be seen right now, but call a triage nurse and get them triaged. Home care measures are the number one thing that you can just do, and it doesn't matter if they're positive or not. We are simply watching this disease move throughout our population. It is natural. It is normal. This is how it's supposed to go and how it goes every year. Colds, rhinoviruses, noroviruses. This is what happens. They move throughout the population, and we are not doing any good, and we are doing a disservice to our children. And I'll tell you what, I shouldn't be afraid to lose my job just to say that. I shouldn't. I shouldn't be afraid, but I am. It is my professional judgment, my critical thinking skills, my education in simple microbiology and pathophysiology. One class that I took in nursing school. Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2. It is not rocket science. It's not. It's not rocket science. And so I guess I'll just end with, if there are any other nurses out there who are feeling afraid to speak up about what you know is wrong, don't be afraid. Today is your day. Be appreciated. Be strong. Don't be scared, because I have kids, and I cannot do this. I can't do it to them. And you shouldn't be doing it to yours. They don't deserve this. This is a game. This is a game that is being played on the American people. And our kids are the victim now. They're in the crossfire. And as the school year rolls around next year, I guess we'll see what's going to happen. Want to keep requiring masks? I guess maybe mine won't go. We are putting them at risk by testing them this way. Please stop. Please stop. Enough is enough.